According to a recent Gallup poll, more than 40% of Americans don't want one. But what if your employer requires it? Can they do that?
Well, Brad, there are some exceptions, but by and large, yes, your boss can require something like this. Here's an example of something similar that's already been done. Here at the KU Health System, they already require that the staff get flu vaccines, get vaccinated for the flu, I should say. The alternative? Seek employment elsewhere. It's become commonplace now to see people in face coverings, even in a typical office. At some companies, it's required. Another, even more intrusive condition of employment could arise.
This is something new for us.
Micah Thompson is an associate professor at the UMKC School of Law.
Then employers can mandate a vaccination, and there's not a lot that employees would be able to do about it.
With a few exceptions, employers must make reasonable accommodations under the Americans with Disabilities Act to someone with a pertinent medical condition. The same goes under Title VII of the Civil Rights Act for a, quote, sincerely held religious belief. It's not uncommon to require vaccines in healthcare fields. And though an employer doesn't need a justification for such a policy,
if we're talking about just kind of a run-of-the-mill office setting or something like that, then the employer's justification would be that this is necessary for the, the safety and protection of the workplace.
Of course, there's what they can do and what they likely will do.
While this is good news, a recent Gallup poll shows more than 40% of Americans say they would not get vaccinated.
But what if your employer required it? 41 Action News reporter Andres Gutierrez goes in depth on whether your company could mandate you get it.
Employment experts say your boss can make you get one.
They're not generally known to the public because they haven't come into play as much to date, but there is recognition for certain industries, such as healthcare industries, where there can be a mandatory vaccination.
The Employment Opportunity Commission recommends ADA-covered employers to simply encourage employees to take a vaccine versus requiring them to do so.
I work in a plant, so we wear like the masks, and during the morning they take our temperatures and we just go through the protocol. So I'm not sure if it will be mandatory to take a vaccine, but I'm assuming at some point, yes.
They're going to let people decide for themselves, so I don't think that they're going to be putting a lot of pressure on people to take it.
Law professor Dorit Rice foresees a few obstacles. The big one, access.
We have 300 million people in the United States, and the first vaccines will require 2 doses. So the first problem will not be mandate. It will be getting enough vaccines for the people who actually want them.
For some, there's still an overall uneasy feeling over the first round of vaccines.
I would probably see what happens in the fall, in the upcoming year, and then possibly take it next year, depending on how that first year goes.